Hi everyone, this is Mr Neel Raithatha, also known as the Wax Whisperer. Thank you for joining me in my latest video. This is of a patient who attended with really impacted, dry, dark, matted earwax in both ears. They travelled from the East Coast, from a place called Skegness. For those of you who are in the UK, you'll be familiar with Skegness. And they travelled up to the clinic in Leicester to have this removed. Now, they suffer from tinnitus, therefore we attempted to remove this without the use of microsuction. For those of you who don't know, tinnitus is a sound that originates either within the ear or inside the head that's not due to an external stimulus. So it's kind of a self-produced noise by the body or the ear or the head. And we probably all experience tinnitus in our lifetime. I sometimes get it after a long day at work. If I'm really tired, I go home and a bit ringing in my ear, and it just passes within seconds. Some people get it constant. Some people get it in one ear only. If you do get it in one ear only, or it's worse in one ear, do visit your GP, because that generally needs to be investigated further. And some people actually feel a pulse, and we call it pulsatile tinnitus. And again, if you suffer from pulsatile tinnitus, you do need to visit your GP, your doctor, your family physician, depending upon which part of the world you're from, because that also may warrant further investigation. Now, one of the triggers of tinnitus can be loud sounds. I'm getting a bit now, but in my younger days, when you used to go to loud bars and clubs and pubs, I used to sometimes experience tinnitus afterwards for a day or so, and my hearing would actually be a bit lower than usual. It's just because your ears are taking a battering, and as a side effect almost, your hearing temporarily is reduced whilst the ear rejuvenates, recuperates, and the ear can produce a bit of tinnitus. So loud sounds is known to be a trigger for tinnitus. Now, when we perform microsuction, it is slightly noisy. We can't, that is microsuction, it's in your ear, we've got a vacuum in there. It's very well tolerated, mind you, but when people have got tinnitus already, trying to, wherever possible, avoid it. And wax can be caused by the tinnitus itself, so the pure removal of the wax can also alleviate tinnitus. So it's not to say that if you have got tinnitus, people should not be performing microsuction. That's not technically correct, but whenever it's possible to try and remove the wax without using microsuction, in cases of tinnitus, it's advisable to do so. It's not always possible. We get loads of clients all around the UK contacting us from watching our videos who suffer from tinnitus, and we treat a lot of people by not using microsuction, but it's not always possible. It depends on the consistency of wax, the location, the ear anatomy. We must stress that, and we always explain that on the phone. We had a case recently where someone booked in, and it was clearly explained that we'll try our best, but if it's not possible, I'll come back to that in a moment. So we've removed this. Now you can see at the bottom of the ear canal, it's extremely widened there. It's what you would expect in a case of keratosis obturans. Now, keratosis obturans is when you've got a buildup of dead skin and it accumulates within the ear canal, and it forms a plug, and it widens and expands, and it can also widen the ear canal itself. Now, this wasn't keratosis obturans because it wasn't dead skin. It was actually earwax. You can tell by the consistency that there's differences between dead skin and wax. So I suspect that's an anatomical default that the patient's, I don't want to call it default, it's an anatomical trait that the patient's got with their ear canal, and it's not allowing the wax to escape, and it's collecting in that widening. So the patient is aware that they're most likely going to have their right ear cleaned in particular more regularly. I'll just go back to the patient I was referring to. So patient booked in, we clearly explain, it's on the website as well. We always explain this. My clinic manager and deputy clinic manager are very good at this on the phone. They've been doing it for a while now and very experienced, and we do give expectations. Now, if of course someone's got tinnitus and we're not able to remove it using non-microsuction techniques, so hooks and scoops and jobs and horn, it doesn't mean we just go in the ear with suction without the patient's consent. We weigh up all the options with the patient, and we explain, look, we've done as much as we can with non-microsuction techniques, but the remainder, especially if it's deep and it's wet and it's on the eardrum, you just can't use any other technique. Irrigation and syringing is actually more of a contraindication when people have got tinnitus, so that's going to be actually an adverse route for the patient to go down if they already experience tinnitus. So we can then, if the patient agrees, we can perform microsuction. We try and obviously limit the duration we're in there. I always try and use the fine end suction process, it's less noisy. And we treat loads actually, it's quite a common thing. But as long as patients are fully aware prior to booking that it's not always possible, because the last thing we want is patients to travel the whole width of the country and they're under the belief that we're just going to do this without it's possible, should I say, to do it without microsuction, because it's not always the case. But in this particular case, it was difficult, but I was pretty confident I would be able to do it. Now, I did use some olive oil spray on the right side the first day just to soften this, and we used forceps on a hook. And you can see I'm just trying to get the hook in and behind, trying to lift it off the canal wall. The top part of the ear canal, it's engulfed itself. Well, just on top of the forceps here, it's engulfed itself around the wax. So underneath that flap of cartilage, the ear canal goes upwards, and the wax also is filling that area. So it's engulfed it, makes it a bit more difficult. So I've just used the forceps here. Now, the right ear was the patient's worst ear. They felt that was more affected, but in terms of quantity, the left ear was a substantial amount of more wax. It was also more impacted. Now, I'm just going to use the top jaw here just to separate the wax from the canal wall. I'm going to get a good grip and slowly pull this out. And the possible cause for this impaction as well. Of course, in the right ear, we know they've got this anatomical dip in the ear canal. So as the wax tries to migrate, it falls down this dip, down this well, this trench, this pothole. We can call it a pothole. A patient used that analogy. It was quite a good one. So the wax fell down the pothole and it wasn't able to come out. But they also wear sleep plugs because their partner can snore. Hopefully, maybe the patient said it was okay for us to upload, and so that's fine. But hopefully the patient's partner's not watching, because they may not be a happy bunny learning of that, but I'm sure they know, because obviously they would have asked why they're wearing sleep plugs. But by wearing sleep plugs, it can impact the wax in. Now, we could have left this, but the patient was really, really still, so I just got a Jobson horn. We're on the bony part there, so we had to be careful, but I just managed to glide over and remove it. Now, there's not so much of a dip here. There is a slight of an inclination of the ear canal, an incline, quite a steep one, which is the norm for most of us, but this patient's inclination, the height, the incline of the ear canal is probably more than the norm. It's about 32 degrees typically. So that's all the wax and a bit of dead skin around the edge. I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Do stay tuned. I've got loads more videos to upload in the next few days and weeks. And yeah, hope you're all looking after yourselves. Thank you. Bye.